right, everybody, welcome to the fourth episode of the No Signal podcast. Boone, how we feeling today?
Other than an adventure earlier on, I'm doing great, buddy. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Been loving the podcast series so far.
Thank you. And what game are we bringing to the people today?
Just one of my favorites from the PS1, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast era. This is Ridge Racer Type 4, or R4.
All right.
And I am also an uber fan of R4, so I went ahead and brought, for the people watching on YouTube, I got the limited edition controller here with the Jog-Con, and got the game in there and everything, but this was a unique controller for the time. Speaking of controllers, I'm playing on a Neji-Con.
This thing is sick.
So this is a full analog gas brake and steering. So the steering works by rotating or twisting the controller. Very unique, but once you get the hang of it, I really, really wish that they would release something like this for modern consoles. It'd be fun as hell to play, even, Forza, Gran Turismo 7, all of that stuff, would be perfect for something like that. But then I also have a couple other things that, Ridge Racer, big fan, uber fan over here. I won a calendar. When Ridge Racer was getting ready to be launched in 1999. This was a calendar that Namco, they did some sort of promotional thing online, and I somehow won it. And then I have all the soundtracks for Ridge Racer Type 4, which, if you guys can hear it in the background, amazing soundtrack, still holds up to this day.
Absolutely. I have a little race playlist for when I play Initial D over there, and a ton of Ridge Racer music is in there.
They nailed it on like the look and the atmosphere of the series. Namco, good job, guys. Even though you were a little sweaty in your costume designs on Soul Calibur, Ivy is out of pocket. Don't need to be seeing that much skin, but you guys nailed it on Ridge Racer. So I'll go ahead and get this thing started so you guys can check out how this.
We gotta see that
the
crazy
twisting
controller.
action.
Yeah. Right.
Go ahead and go through one of the sequences. I'll go through. I think there's like 8 races total. So we'll just do start from the beginning.
Welcome to the Real Racing Roots 99 Grand Prix.
And as some of you may know, Boone is the usual co-commentator for the Soul Calibur 2 monthlies that we do here.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to have you on for those.
Man, the past 2 have just been so great.
Absolutely.
Just seeing people improve, seeing new faces come out. I mean, I got my butt kicked both times this past time by players I hadn't played before. So just incredible.
Yeah.
It's been nice reliving the late 90s, early 2000s with Neon Dreams. Big fan. And I'm glad that it's been, even though it's an old game, it has great interest right now.
It does.
We got good competition in Central Florida. The people from Orlando came out. And then also, it's always good to have Jet and Frankie here, those guys. And Sean, which, my gosh, he's going through some stuff if you haven't talked to him. So shouts out to Sean. Hope everything's better for you, man. I know this past week has been miserable, so everybody's just having a bad week.
Yeah, we miss you here, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, great stuff. Good stuff. Seeing the great competition. It feels like a '90s arcade scene again.
Oh yeah.
I know.
That's what a lot of people have said. Is it feels like the old days. Like this, the atmosphere here is cozy enough to where it doesn't feel like a Dave & Buster's. It doesn't feel like a step removed from the actual community.
Yeah, you're not getting like ticket games here. Redemption games and stuff where you have to win out tickets to exchange for I don't know, some sort of disgusting little slimy thing that you throw at the wall or whatever. Yeah. It's a true arcade experience. I know Jet last time he mentioned Tampa lanes and coming up, throwing through that, and I feel the same way. It feels like Tampa Lanes or Rocky's Replay was another huge arcade in the 90s. That's how CEO got started. A lot of the people there went on to run CEO. So yeah, really, really cool seeing, especially, having the Orlando guys come out here. It's bigger than just the Tampa Bay area. It's a full community.
Yeah,
I had my buddy had my buddy Chris come down from Jacksonville and play. And he almost took it, but we got handed again by some of the local players.
I love the like skill growth that we have for Soul Calibur 2. Like every time we get it together, everyone comes out and they play their absolute heart out.
Yeah, like
and it's always better than the last time.
Definitely. I mean, even just watching the matches from the last podcast of you and Jet, like you can see how much you've grown at it. So it's great that that it's so you can see that you see the work in progress actually come to fruition there.
Yeah,
you guys are putting in the effort. So here we are. We're playing that Ridge Racer. So I'll try to show on the camera for those that are watching on YouTube. So
we gotta get the turn here.
So yeah. So instead of turning left and right, I'm actually twisting the controller.
Okay.
And once I get into a drift, it really makes it super easy to control. If you were paying attention right then, don't pay attention that I hit the wall. That was I just got to remember which way to twist. But it's really just like steering a wheel. And it's a great way to play racing games. I wish that more had this compatibility. Getting smoked by those guys turning in on me. But this is a great game, even though it's 240p and doesn't upscale to HD or anything. It still has such a great atmosphere.
Oh yeah, I love all of the older racing games. Like a personal favorite of mine is the Tokyo Extreme Racer series.
Excellent series. Yeah, they even made versions of that, I believe, for the Saturn, or at least they had a Shotoku Battle, which was what it was called in Japan. They had a Saturn version, so I never got to play that, which I should add it to my Mister just to try that out sometime. But yeah, the ones that came out on the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2. I mean, you guys got it going on right up there, right?
Yep, threw it up here. Yep.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And I need to play the drift ones because I never played.
Yeah, you haven't played through them.
I never played them. I only.
You will be surprised with the handling model on those games.
Yeah.
Especially like Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift 2. It kind of feels like Gran Turismo. Like it feels like GT4.
Okay.
GT4 where your rear end kicks out a little bit more. Like it doesn't feel arcadey. You have to work for the drifts in that one.
Okay, see, I would appreciate that. Because some of the arcade ones like Initial D, it has its quirks, and even Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer is very, very arcade style. But I like when they're, the cars have a little bit of weight to them. You kind of feel like like you're actually drifting as opposed to just like turning in with the skid. Even like Outrun, a great game, but you don't have to
super arcade. Yeah. There's I really appreciate that game because you can like feel the suspension loading up in that game. Like you can feel like your like rear tire lift up and you're really like digging into a corner. Like it's so good.
All right, well,
highly recommend.
I'm gonna go home and play that tonight then. And try that out, the Drift series. I know I have it loaded up on my my PS2, so.
That's what I do when I'm home. When I'm not here, that's usually what I'm doing. If I'm not practicing Tekken or Soul Calibur, I got Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift 2 up.
There we go. All right, so I came in first. You guys saw it.
All right.
Number one, even though this is like
still got it.
It's super simple.
Cool. All right. Okay, let's take it back to the beginning. So
sure,
what
man.
kind of got you started into the whole like hobby of video games? And I guess it wouldn't have been retro tech at the time.
No,
but
man, that was state of the art, man. The NES and Atari 2600 was state of the art back then. So yeah, I guess the first system I owned, I didn't have it at so I had it at my mom's house. I had the Texas Instruments TI-99, which was a terrible console. It was mainly used for our like home computer. But it's weird. It was a home computer that hooked up to a regular TV. You didn't have to have a monitor. So, but it's crazy. Back in the days, they used like cassette tapes to load data as opposed to discs.
Yeah.
So you would play like something on a little cassette player to load stuff in. But I had like awful games like Revenge of the Wampus, and there was a Pac-Man that was all bootleg on there.
Of course, yeah.
It was not very good. But I think everything kind of changed. Just like going to the arcades and seeing stuff like Defender or even like Galaga and some of the simple stuff like Big Doug, all of those. Like I loved playing those when I went Jed had said the bowling alley, and
Yeah.
that was like a spot that we would go to. That the 7-Eleven near me had some video games. They had like Tiger Shark, and eventually had 720, a skateboarding game. But yeah, it was all just like, seeing that stuff in the arcades, and then also, eventually getting an NES at home.
Yeah.
And then the NES, like once I got that, man, it's over. That's all. That was like my hobby after that.
Yeah.
So I stuck with that. Played all the way through to like, I don't know, I would say the Super Nintendo era, before I kind of took a little bit of a break just from high school.
Yeah.
But once, Willie had mentioned both Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat 2. That got me right back. Like going to the arcades in University Square Mall, there were lines around each of these. And they had like that crazy Street Fighter game that had the pressure sensitive buttons.
Oh,
so you would have to go in there, and you would see people beating up the machine trying to get a Hadouken out. Just crazy stuff. But thankfully that didn't stick around. That was only for Street Fighter 1.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was like that was how you did the strong,
your light,
short
medium,
jab.
heavy. Yeah.
It was like how hard you hit this little giant, like blue or red pad on the arcade board. Crazy stuff. They were trying a lot of stuff back in those days, like gimmicky things.
I love that stuff though, especially like even the controller you're using now. I love like wonky peripherals.
Yeah, this is one that shouldn't have died out with the PlayStation 1 era though. This is one that Namco, bring it back, man. Get Hori involved and release this for the monitor system. But yeah, so after Mortal Kombat 2, I was back in the arcades. I would go up to USF. I would play at University Mall, Tampa Lanes. Then I went away to Tallahassee for a little bit for school, for actually Gainesville and Tallahassee, just like community college. And while I was up there, that's when the PlayStation 1 and the Saturn were released. And seeing the Saturn at a local store, man, they were running Vampire Hunter.
Okay.
It was Night Warriors, I guess, the US version. And I had never seen anything like that pretty. So I was like, oh my gosh, now I gotta get back into this thing. I gotta start spending money, and that's what I did. I bought the PlayStation 1, had that while I was in Tallahassee. Ridge Racer was the first game that I picked up for it. Of course. And then also Mortal Kombat 3 Vanilla was another one that I had picked up. And just played the heck out of those, and same with Street Fighter Alpha 1. Those were like my go-tos back in the PlayStation 1 era, right at the beginning. After that, I got back to Tampa, and I started working at Electronics Boutique. And from there, that's where I basically met a ton of the people in the scene around here, a lot of fighting game players. Jet was one of them. So his brother Wally worked with me. He had mentioned that on the last podcast.
Yeah.
So we were, I'd say, probably the two actual nerds. We actually, knew what was going on there.
It wasn't just a job.
It wasn't just a job. So people would come to us for opinions and whatnot. But we set up tournaments. Jed had mentioned that Tekken 3 tournament, and calling him a nerd for coming in
we're
with
at the
a
Devil Jin
marker
tattoo.
Devil Jin. Oh my gosh, what a dork. But I mean, I can't say anything. I'm sitting here, I got all this stuff. But it's all in good fun. But he was real big into Tekken, real good Tekken player. And then from there, we started hanging out more. Once I had my Saturn, me and him would play X-Men versus Street Fighter on the Saturn, which was like, for all intents and purposes, arcade perfect.
Yeah.
He was doing infinites on me like as soon as he broke it out, man. Wolverine was smoking me. And his Ryu, he had a good Ryu back then in X-Men versus Street Fighter. But yeah, that was a lot of how I met a lot of the people was during that era, working at Electronics Boutique, getting to know people at Tampa Lanes. There's a guy, Tony, who's the bartender at Tampa Lanes, and I'm still friends with him. Also Brian. Gosh, I'm gonna kick myself for not remembering all their names. But there were a lot of people there that I still keep in touch with. Either that, or I hear about them through friends, or I see them on Instagram. Just really cool that after 25 years, almost 30 years, still hanging out with these nerds.
Yeah.
I think this is the track. If it is, I'll show you. There's a cool little secret in here. where if you get close enough to the edge, you can actually go through the wall. And this is just from years of playing. No, it isn't this one. It's the next track. So after it comes up, I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, how did you feel your first time at Neon, like being the storefront in person?
It's everything that, I think Jed had mentioned this. It's basically how I would want an arcade to be run. Like this is the ideal setup where it's fighting games, a couple of stuff like, you have the puzzles. I think every once in a while you'll have like Money Puzzle Exchanger up or Bubble. Was it Puzzle Bobble or Bust a Move? I think it's
Bust a Move.
Bust a Move, Metal Slug, stuff like that. Plus Alien vs Predator, which shouts out to you guys
that game is golden.
For having that is incredible. And then the fighting games, the rhythm games, y'all are doing right by the community by doing tournaments like every week.
Yeah, there's maybe Wednesdays because we're closed, and right now I think Sundays. Yeah, Sundays are the only days we don't have something going on.
And even then, you still do because you've had the car shows.
Yeah.
Which I got to meet a couple of people from that, which is really cool. Other hobbies that I have are. I recently bought a little sports car, nothing major, just a little GR86. But I've always been into cars, into photography, a good part of like the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
And most of that is around motorsports photography. So I love that you guys are just active overall in the community. But again, I just have to echo what Jed said, is that this is exactly how I'd want it run up. Everything just looks cool. All the neon everywhere, the artwork around, it's just perfect. Very reminiscent of, not necessarily a mall arcade, which is, was great back in the days, but something like Rocky's Replay. This feels very similar to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then speaking of cars coming up. There might be an Initial D event coming up soon where it's still in the workshopping phase.
Don't we have like a world record holder here?
Yes, Chase. Shout out to Chase. He has the #1 spot on, I believe, Lake Akina right now.
Okay. Is that like first area?
Yeah, the first map.
First map. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we got players like all around,
it started out as kind of, I'm not gonna lie, kind of a play to get him to keep coming back. So we're like, all right, if you get top 5, we'll give you free admission for a week. If you get top 3, we'll give you a month for free. And then he just blows it out of the water.
Man. So you better be giving him that month, man, because it shows Neon Dreams on the board too, right?
Yep.
Like if you were to go to like Akihabara or someplace in Japan and then
it would show the Neon Dreams arcade on there as the record holder.
That is amazing. That's awesome. Big fan of that. Yeah, they always seeing people here. I mean, there's people right now playing off to my side, playing Initial D. That's a cool game. I played it back at Tampa Lanes. They had like a really old version.
Yeah, I think it was 3 or 4.
Okay.
One of those.
And then I just hadn't seen it anywhere else. So like having it here is incredible. Even like, Laurie Parkade has got great arcade games, but they don't really have the room for a big racing setup. But seeing it here is just unbelievable. Yeah, a lot of these are imported too. They're mainly in Japanese. Look at them and stuff.
Yep. And then it's like, I'm super proud of the fact that a lot of the work we do here is in-house. Like, we don't have to rely on a tech to come. We do have a tech, but we don't have to rely on a tech to come out and fix a machine if it's down. Like, the staff here is pretty knowledgeable and can, if something's not drastically broke, we can usually get it up and running within, like, the next day or, like, the next couple hours.
That was one thing that I've heard outside of here, is how quick you guys are to fix any issues that people have. The first days that you guys opened up, I was here with, I think, Sean and a couple other people, and they didn't have a controller adapter. You guys went out to Best Buy or Walmart and just went and picked up a couple extra, PS5 controllers, some Brook adapters. I mean, just on point with all of fixing any issues that people have. Can't say enough how much that's like appreciated, and especially the fighting game community.
Oh yeah.
You go to these places, you want to play Soul Calibur, and you hold the stick or whatever, and it's like loose.
Yeah.
Nothing's working. No directions are registering. Guys, do not have that issue. All right. So coming up here.
All right. So do you play any more modern titles at the moment, or?
I'm trying. I think I entered that last Tekken 8 tournament for just to try to mash with Eddie Gordo, because he's a new character. He's a new character. People haven't really defended against him. I just wanted to know, like, okay, so what's a good low move, and then maybe what a string is.
There was a bot that existed. I read about it on Twitter. It was an Eddie Gordo bot, and all he would do was throw kicks.
I mean,
like
that's
they built a bot just to throw like the same string over and over just to see how far it could climb in rank. It's shut down now, sadly, but it was a fun experiment to hear about people running into this bot.
I didn't hit it. Oh well, next time. Actually, I do have a third lap on here. Yeah, that is. I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of like Maxi, man. That works, especially on people that aren't used to it. Even people that are used to it, you can throw people off if you just time them slightly different. His combo strings are kind of similar to Maxi's pure soul loops in Soul Calibur. So like there are different options once he does like 2 or 3 moves. There's a different, you have a different option to come out with either a low or a high. And yeah, I mean, whatever works. That's what I was hoping for when I played. But yeah, I got eliminated pretty quickly.
My bracket experience was I lost my first round, which I expected to do. I'm not great at second, and then Jet knocked me out in my losers. So.
Jet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that you'd been practicing on one of the characters. I forget which one.
I did. I played Victor a bit, but I've been really practicing on Yoshimitsu.
Oh, yeah. Some of the stuff carries over from Soul Calibur 6, too. So, I'd like to learn newer fighting games. Man, I'm old. Here we go. Got to go through it. There we go. I went through this. That's the only thing that was, just a little clipping issue on that. They didn't set up the hit detection properly.
I mean, hey, if you saves a second, saves a second.
I mean, you're always going for lap records on this. Modern stuff. So I might start being a little bit more into it because I just bought a Steam Deck.
Okay.
So there is a chance that you might catch me on, maybe a little bit more Tekken, maybe a little bit of Street Fighter. But again, I'm old. I don't know if I have the time to
dedicate
learn.
to fully learning a character to be competitive.
The Steam Deck is pretty cool. I got to catch this guy in this last straight. Am I going to catch him? Look at that.
There we go. Taking it.
Modern stuff. I'm a big fan of it. I love watching it. I love King of Fighters 15. I love watching even the Grand Blues, the DNFs, the Strives, all of that stuff. I love watching it.
Oh, I love watching Strive. I'm awful at Strive, but I love watching good people at Strive.
It's super impressive. But for me, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I'm old, man. 47. So that's they're can't teach an old dog do tricks most of the time, and that I didn't have experience with anime style fighters growing up.
It is different. Going from primarily Soul Calibur 2 and the later series.
Nothing transfers.
No,
over,
nothing
really.
at all. I feel like a deer in headlights half the time. I'm like, all right, well, I tried to jump over that, but my jump wasn't the perfect height to get over this attack, and I couldn't dash in quick enough, and.
Yeah, Tekken some of the stuff can relate over to there, but the movement is so different.
Oh, yeah.
You have the Korean backdash and stuff like that you can pull out. And Soul Calibur has guard cancel steps and stuff, which are complicated, but it's very difficult to use that over in a different game. Soul Calibur is my bread and butter when it comes to that.
It's just for me, Soul Calibur has always just been intuitive. Even when a new character drops, it's I don't feel locked out that I have to go spend 8 hours in a lab to figure out what this character does.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, they have a lot of styles that transfer over. One character will be somewhat similar to another one.
There's almost, I wouldn't say a mirror, but there's almost always two of the same. At least two of the same.
Yeah. like Yoshimitsu and Mitsurugi and the first ones, and Sophia and Kilik, or not Sophia,
Sungmina and
Kilik and
Sophia and Cassandra.
Lizard Man.
Yeah, Lizard Man too. Yeah. And where it's like just the same but slightly different enough to where it's still throw some people off.
Some of the stuff transfers over, but Tekken, I know that it's really not like that. Other than
like the main like big three have sort of similar moves, but other than that, like everyone is so different.
Yeah, they have that Mishima or Hachime,
the Mishima style.
I will, with the Steam Deck though, we'll see. I still play the hell out of, even though it isn't a very modern style game, I still play the hell out of Vampire Survivors, which is stupidly addictive. But it is also, it's so mindless. I can just have it on, when I'm going to get ready to go to sleep and get through a little bit more, unlock something. But yeah, that's about it. I stick to a lot of the retro stuff. What we're playing on right now is the Mister. Doesn't look like I'm going to win this. I get in second. I think I can still continue. But yeah, the Mister is how I play a lot of my stuff because it runs stuff like the PlayStation 1, N64, a lot of the old arcade games perfectly. I did fail, so I am going to have to restart this one. But yeah, a lot of the older stuff. That's what I'm a game collector as well. That's one of the reasons I brought this crap with me, is that I have a huge game room set up for this stuff. I bought a lot of those really cheap when I worked at Electronics Boutique. So my focus is on the older stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear some stories about the like video game store days. You working there.
So I worked there basically from the tail end of the Super Nintendo through the launch of the Dreamcast right before PlayStation 2 launched. So so I was an assistant manager there. Same with Jet's brother Wally, and we basically, we were two of the gamers there. We could actually. He did a little bit more computer gaming. He played a little bit of stuff like what was it, StarCraft back in the days was a big one. So yeah, he played a little bit more of that, but he was definitely a Street Fighter player, Street Fighter 2 player. It wasn't nearly as good as and Wally, if you're listening, sorry buddy, wasn't as good as your brother, but we all still had fun. But yeah, so I played. When I was working there, I mainly played a lot of the fighting games. So the people would come in that would talk to me. They would ask me about fighters and stuff. And then when Tekken 3 was about ready to get launched, the store itself, or actually the company, Electronics Boutique, wanted to do like a promotion for it because it was a big release for the PlayStation, and we had a ton of pre-orders. But what we did was when we were taking in pre-orders, we let them know that we had a Tekken 3 tournament that we were going to also go, host right at the launch, or like a week after the launch, something like that. And so every single time we would take a pre-order in, we would let them know about the tournament. They just put in $5, and then it went to store credit at the time, which I don't know if that was really above the board back then, but they were, I didn't win that one either, man. I'm gonna be eliminated. I get one more chance. So we hosted the Tekken 3 tournament. We had this cool display set up that we had, printed and cut out like characters standing in the background. I wish if I can find a photo of it, I'll see if I can send it over to you guys.
All right, I'll see if I can't throw it up there.
Yeah. But then after that, a lot of the focus was on Dreamcast. And so I was one of the nerds that imported the Dreamcast from Japan before it was released over here.
I loved my Dreamcast. I wish I still had it, but
it's one of my favorite systems ever. That and the Saturn especially were just so good. And people slept on Sega back then. They weren't really, it wasn't popular in the U.S., but if you looked at the Japanese catalog, man, and you liked fighting games,
oh my God,
there wasn't anything out there
that was the console to own for a long time if you were into fighters.
So when I imported that, what I started to do was record like either like me and Jet playing Soul Calibur or Power Stone or actually Tokyo Extreme Racer when that was coming out.
Yeah.
It was I had the import version, the Shikoku Battle, and I would record it on a VHS tape and then bring that into the store and
just have that playing.
Have that playing, kind of like how you guys have that up there. So yeah, it would just be playing in the background. And we got more pre-orders for the Dreamcast than I think pretty much anyone else in Florida. I mean, we had so many pre-orders for that just from me promoting it through having the videos up there.
Like actual gameplay instead of like just a bland promotional video.
Yeah, the stuff that Sega sent, because it was never all that good. They would show like real toned down parts of like Sonic Adventure or something, but I would show like the whole first level and everything. Uh-oh, am I gonna be able to get this one? It's the last guy. No. Devastating, man.
Unfortunate.
So what I did on this is if you win the first 4 cars or the first 4 things, you're in like the fastest car, but it's also more difficult. All right, this is my last one. I have to get it. This is the trickiest track because it's so short. Okay, so yeah, I would make the videos of Dreamcast games, play them in the store. We would get a ton of people coming in pre-ordering, and then right after the release, Soul Calibur came out at launch, and I was able to have a tournament like within the first month.
Yeah.
And I didn't compete because I knew that I probably would have an upper hand. Yeah, I didn't want to crush those kids. But I played the winner of that tournament. We had like 30 people show up to that.
Yeah,
it was great.
Good, yeah,
and we actually got permission by the mall to host it kind of outside of the store.
Okay, so you had more room to work with.
Yep. And the owner of the manager of the mall actually came out here, and he had a story. He actually used to work for Namco.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to him about Namco and stuff, which was cool. I forget where I think he was in Chicago at the time, or he did he ran something for them in Chicago. But yeah, we ran a Soul Calibur 1 tournament, had great turnout, and then of course after the guy won, I played my Ivy against him and
he just couldn't keep
him.
up.
But yeah, but I'm not going to take those kids' money, even when I win here or get some prize, I'm more likely going to give it back. I want the community to have fun with this. But yeah, and then just met a lot of people through that, like besides Willie and his brother, who I did meet through there. I think I met Frankie through them as well. I know Willie and Frankie were good friends for a long time before this. But there are a few people that I've recognized, at Tampa Lanes and other places that I met back in those days. And it's such a, as long as you get in with the right people, man, there's nothing like the video game community. It's a lot of fun, even though we're a bunch of nerds. Just, good long-standing friendships.
Yeah. I know I got Jet side of it, but how was it walking in that one day when me and Jet were on the Soul Calibur 2 cab and seeing him?
Dude, it took me back. All right, am I gonna win? No, I'm not. All right, so I'll just start a new one. I'm gonna lose on purpose in the next round. So when I walked in, I was like, oh my god, dude, I haven't seen this guy in over 22 years. I think we kind of fell out. You mentioned we had a little bit of a falling out, and it's crazy. Like, I knew that he was still around here.
Yeah.
Like, I talked to his brother every once in a while still, and I knew he was still around here. So I figured it was just a matter of time, and this is the venue to meet up.
Absolutely.
This is where I'm going to run into him. It's just incredible, man. He still got it. He was sitting over there at the arcade. You guys were playing, and I was just standing back and just watching him. And
that was back, like, I hadn't played Soul Calibur 2 in probably like 10 years at that point. Like,
that's I mean, me neither. Probably longer for me. But like getting back, it is like riding a bike with some of the characters. Some of the characters I still haven't figured out how I played them back in the days, like Yoshi. But yeah, we. I walked up to him after him. The best thing about fighting game players, we talk a lot of trash.
Oh, yeah.
And it can get us into trouble every once in a while. But yeah, I gave him a little ribbing, when I saw him, and he's like, "What's up, old friend?" And we hit it back off like
I remember,
no time.
him realizing it was you, and word for word, I said it before, saying welcome back to the stage of history. As an outside person that loves this game, that was ethereal for me to hear.
And that's what Dallas has said that too. He was like, I can't believe this place that he created has rekindled old friendships. That's what happened. I haven't talked to him in forever. Now we're chatting all the time. I see him every single time we have the Soul Calibur gatherings. It's great. It's great to see him. We have our differences back then, but all relationships do. All friendships do.
You have ups and downs.
Exactly. But yeah, it was great. It's great to see him, and I'm hoping that my guy Tony that used to be a bartender at Tampa Lanes, hoping he comes up here sometime because he would get a huge kick out of this. I think he still has some tokens from back then. I know I do. From all the arcades.
I want to try to get a couple. I got something planned for the Soul Calibur tournament. So.
Okay, all right. I brought in that.
I found one. I work for Publix as my main job.
Okay.
And we have one of the coin machines that sorts all the coins and everything. I went and cleaned it out probably last month, and I found one. I found a Tampa Lanes token.
That's awesome.
And I was like.
It's rare. I mean, no cash value.
Yeah.
That's what it says right on the token. But hey, man, it's got some sentimental value in there.
Those memories are priceless.
Exactly. I kept all mine from back in the days. I still have the arcade video game places were called Fun and Games. We had Rocky's Replay in the area. We had there was a Namco arcade. I believe it was run out of Celebration Station. And then you had Sega's, what was the big one? Let's say it was called DreamWorks or something. It was like a partnership between Sega and
Dreamcast or something.
No, it used to be where or GameWorks.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. It's the one that they had in Ybor.
Okay.
But that one, that was, I still have the Sega tokens. There was some arcades from Disney's. They had a thing set up a while back, and I don't think it was City Walk. But I still have tokens from that. It's just cool seeing those Putt-Putt Golf, another one where you find those out there.
Yeah.
That was actually a pretty cool arcade too. Putt-Putt and Adventure Island, surprisingly, had an arcade.
Yeah, I heard Adventure Island had a pretty good arcade.
I would go there. I'd play Yayar Kung Fu, which was an early fighting game, and Karate Champ, I think was the other one. And again, a very early, and that was a unique one. I don't know if you ever played the original. The Karate Champ used to use 2 sticks as opposed to any buttons.
Okay.
So you would use down, left, up, right on both sides in order to do special moves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just crazy. Going to you would go to Adventure Island, you hang out on the Ramblin' River for a few hours, go get a churro, and then just hit that arcade up, man. With the wettest feet you'd ever have.
Oh, absolutely.
Disgusting wet feet in the middle of the arcade, and it was fun though. That's where I played that, and I think Busch Gardens also had some stuff set up there. But yeah, those old tokens, man. I wish I would have hanged on to all of them. I'll just keep a little collection in my game room where you can just go through and see them. And Larry Parkade's got tokens now too.
I got a little collection of tokens myself. I got some of the older Namco tokens, a lot of some of the Japanese Sega arcade tokens.
You got any? Have you been over there? Have you been?
No, I have just from lots that my friends bring back. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Jet, he goes out to Hong Kong quite a bit.
Yeah,
he mentioned a story of him going there and running into some locals. But yeah, that's the bucket list item. Namco, if you're listening, I love you guys. Why don't you fly me out? Japan. I want to hit up some.
I would love to do a run through Akihabara, the arcades,
or just visiting one of the used game stores like Hard Off or Book Off or Hobby Off, one of those things. Those are all that's where I want to go, man.
Yeah,
gonna get some cheap games out there.
I also want to see some of this. I want to go see some mountain
Oh
roads.
yeah, the Toge.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, rent like a Skyline or something and
just
take it through
drive
there.
through it, yeah.
Old S15.
Tell me more. Tell me a little bit about the Team Tampa days.
Oh my gosh.
I saw the shirt at the last Soul Calibur event.
Yeah, so when we were going to play Orlando, I forget what all we were going there for. It would have been like Soul Calibur, maybe Third Strike, stuff like that. We would go there as Team Tampa, which is just a stupid thing. We should have been a little bit more creative with our names.
Alliteration, it works.
I guess, but Tampa never sleeps and all that. That's got a better, it rolls off the tongue a little bit better. But anyway, we would go there. We would play a lot of the guys in Orlando. So back then it was a guy named Ikendu, who played Valdo. He ended up being a very, very good Valdo player, but he played all fighting games. So like if you played him in Marvel vs. Capcom or anything like that, he's going to smoke you pretty much at anything. There was another guy, I forget what he went by before Soul Calibur, but he went by Kalika Beast. He was another good SC player. So when we went out there, the time where we made the shirts, or where Jet made the shirts, I forget what house it was. It wasn't at Rocky Reed. We just went to somebody's house, and he had like 4 or 5 TVs set up with different systems. And but yeah, Jet, he drew me as Valdo, which is absolutely horrifying looking. And he had I believe his Mitsurugi, or Lizard Man. I don't know who he drew it as. I think it was Mitsurugi though. And then our buddy Adam, I think he might have been Yoshimitsu, and then Jose, who was here for the Tekken tournament. He like Huang or somebody like that. I don't know. So he made shirts for all of us, and basically drew our faces on those characters.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if you look at mine, if you look at the
Valdo
one,
the Valdo looks like
he's got my receding hairline, bulbous head. It's clearly me in a male dominatrix outfit. But yeah, and we just went there. It was all friendly. It was all friendly rivals. Kind of like when the Orlando people showed up here.
Yeah.
We were all just looking to get better at everything, and the best way to do that is just to play better players. So we would go there. We'd smoke them on Soul Calibur 1, but by the time Soul Calibur 2 came out, they had something for us.
Yeah, they had some demons.
Yep. Yeah, that Inkendu guy, man. I'm pretty sure. I know that. In old videos, if you watch when Soul Calibur 2 HD came out for PS3 and 360, PS3 and 360. If you find some old videos from Ares, who's a big fighting game guy.
Anytime someone wants to learn a Soul Calibur 2 character, that's the video I throw them, is Ares' guides.
Ares, yeah, because he knew frame data before a lot of the other people did. But if you look for his old videos when the HD version came out, he played against Ikendu online, and it was broken netcode and everything.
Absolutely,
not good.
Yeah, the game's the game itself is a little wonky. The game's multiplayer is something else.
Yeah. And then just netcode is just so bad. That's why I never even thought about doing fighting games online for so long, because you really need to have like frame precision.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it has gotten better with rollback. But that's something. But it's cool. Like he went and played Ikendu. He's like, oh yeah, I remember you. Freaking great SC2 player. So he's like, we had some players here. I got to play some of the. I mentioned it on the Soul Calibur stream, but I've got to play against some of the world's best in Atlanta. Rob the Destroyer, Mick, and all them. They were incredible at the game, and I got to play against them back in the days, and thankful for that. Just because it's crazy memories, playing against the world's best at a certain game. We got top tier players here now. We got Knuckle Dew and
I love it.
Gentleman Thief.
Knuckle Dew will come in, run his online tournament while he waits for his turn on on the bracket.
Exactly.
Clean up here on an off pick.
He's got his Twitch channel up with the chair sitting right there. Just people are still commenting on him. He's not there. Yeah, it's great. Seeing how competitive Tampa is,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that they're coming to these arcades. It's just you couldn't
yeah.
ask for anything more. So great. Let's see if I can get this one. If not, I know that podcast eventually
Yeah,
end.
there was a fun experience at the last Street Fighter event. I was picking games to throw onto the PS2s, and I was like, I usually throw like a racing game and then like either a single player game or something, and I'm like, I think Gentleman Thief will be here. So I throw Virtua Fighter 4 on there, and the first thing he does when he walks over here is he's just like,
Yep, focuses in on that. Nice. Did I put Evolution on? Was it is it VF4 Evolution or is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to see. I've never seen him play other than videos from I believe Evo when he was playing against a Japanese player. I think he lost that match, but it doesn't matter. He's best in the U.S.
oh yeah, by far.
Yeah, I want to see him play because like that's one thing that was really cool. Coming to an arcade and seeing a tournament with top level players, you get to see how they're actually moving their characters with controllers. And I had no idea that NuckleDo even played on a PS4 or PS5. I think he's on a PS5 right now. Controller.
Yeah.
And he uses the analog and the digital at the same time.
Yeah.
And that would turn my hands into pretzels. I couldn't even imagine doing that. But that's what I like seeing. I like seeing the
like
best.
how their like brain works and how they've figured out how the best way to do inputs is for them.
Exactly. Yeah, and like
we have one of our Guilty Gear Strive players. She plays with her feet.
Insane,
Is
man.
she still here right now?
That is insane.
I don't think she's still here, but yeah, she played with her feet.
That is so cool.
And then not even like playing a normal like Shoto character, would play Potemkin, would play a grappler with her
Holy
feet.
crap. Yeah, I know that there's that guy that shows up to some tournaments with the steering wheel.
Oh, I wanted to do that for Smash, but I couldn't get it working on the on the Switch.
That is, I mean, people are so creative. Or Guitar Hero controllers.
Yeah. Or Coin will play with the turntables. He'll play with the DJ Max setup.
That is just
He'll
nutty.
play Tekken with it.
All right, so next Soul Calibur tournament, I'm coming in here with this.
Yeah, get your.
And I'm gonna twist my way to victory here. Yeah, that is just, I love seeing stuff like that because thankfully they're a lot more accommodating for players who may have like a disability or stuff like that. Thankfully, everybody has a choice of how they want to play nowadays. Like you have adapters. If I wanted to use this on a PlayStation 5, I don't know if it would work, but at least I have the opportunity to. And that's so cool, man. I do want to see Gentleman Thief play Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
I just want to watch it, his controller and stuff like that. I don't know if does he play on he usually has an arcade stick with him.
Yeah, he usually has a stick. He played like just on the PS2 pad because that's what was in front of him, but
I'd like to see that. That's so cool.
If he would have asked for it, I would have went and grabbed him an adapter to hook up.
Yeah, you guys. That's another thing. You take care of the even the console setups you have here. You have Brook adapters for everything. For the PlayStation 2s, you have the Brook adapter that'll work for all arcade sticks. It's just so great. So great that anybody that comes in here, they can bring their own controller or use what you guys have.
And
so I did pass it.
Oh.
And now I don't know what track. This is another night track.
We do apologize for the normal. I wouldn't call them like original because they're not. They're some janky knockoff. Our PS2 pads here are a little rough.
Yeah, hey man, back in the days, you would just give the jank pad to your friend or your brother or whoever, sister playing. Now they can take that and you get the good controller. Just another way to win, man. Give them that Mad Catz.
Gotta get that.
Or gosh, back in the days, I forget. Mad Catz was bad back in the days, and then they got really, really good when they started actually, bringing out their Japanese arcade sticks.
Yeah.
But back in the days, man, they had
There was
jank.
I kind of miss like that era of like every third-party company doing a controller, like all of the really bad third-party peripherals.
The Wu-Tang PlayStation.
Yeah, the Wu-Tang controller. I had an image thread going for a while of just like bad controllers. I want to start collecting them. I want to get the what is it? Dragon Quest slime
the
controller.
slime one, yeah. That was for what, PlayStation 4, I think, or 3 or 4. Yeah, I've seen that one. There was a terrible controller for the PlayStation 1 that looked like the Batmobile or the Bat.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just, oh my gosh. We sold them all. That was another thing that I had access to being at Electronics Boutique, is that, all of those controllers would be around, and we would always push
they just
people
sit there
away.
forever.
Yeah. We're like, you can get this for your kid. They aren't going to enjoy
I know,
it.
I've heard stories from GameStop specifically, where they were incentivized to push the Mad Catz controllers, because Mad Catz would give them a cut of the.
Well, I know there's higher profit margins
Yeah.
on third-party controllers compared to first-party anything, like memory cards, the systems themselves. Electronics Boutique, GameStop, they don't make a ton of money off of the stuff from Sony or from Xbox, Sega, stuff like that. They're getting most of their money from the markups that they get with Mad Catz and other third parties. Yeah, I can't remember some of the other ones. I think Pelican, there was Pelican Accessories was another one. They had they started making memory cards, but there were some just hot
Pelican
mess
had
stuff.
I think they had a silent scope.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Sounds right. Yeah.
They had a silent scope setup.
Oh, another thing that I could bring in here, because I have it for the Dreamcast, is that fishing controller.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And try to run some
I
Soul
would love
Calibur on that. To reel people in. I don't know. I don't even remember. I think the reeling in is just like up or down. Like that's what it translates to.
So it's just you have to do a constant input to maintain the up or down.
But yeah. Well,
let me sidestep you real quick.
Just reel it in. Yeah, I'll have to. Next time I come in here, I'll bring some of my my crazier stuff that I have there.
Yep, I love the Resident Evil 4 GameCube chainsaw is another classic.
Or that GameCube the controller they released in Japan for Phantasy Star Online, the keyboard controller, the one that's basically it's the width of this TV.
Yeah.
It's huge, but it has a full keyboard, inside keyboard. I know you're a big Phantasy Star
Yes, I am.
player.
I've said it multiple times now. It's just the loop of Sega getting me to play Soul Calibur. I played Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast. I didn't know that Soul Calibur was the fighting game on Dreamcast.
Yep.
And then, you
got your RPG for Phantasy Star. You got your fighting games. You just need a racing game. Maybe throw in some Crazy Taxi or the Ferrari F355.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good racing game for that. But yeah, man, Dreamcast had it all. And the fishing games.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. House of the Dead. That's another thing I can probably bring in, because I still have my gun controllers for the Dreamcast as well.
Okay,
So
that's what we want to get. We need to get a light gun cab in here. That's what we're trying to get.
Yeah.
After our next big cab purchase, we're looking for a light gun.
An older one. Yeah. Try to get House of the Dead. House of the Dead's great.
That's what we're trying to
you
either get House of the Dead or Time Crisis.
Okay. Yeah, because if you got House of the Dead, you can swap it out with there were a couple of Naomi-based gun games, Confidential Mission, and forget what there were a couple other ones that they released in Japan. But yeah, or another crazy controller I had for the Dreamcast. I had the Maraca controllers for the Samba de Amigo.
Yeah.
So that would be something to try to play stuff with that. Because that one did use directional inputs, but there's no way to press right there's no way to press right or the button that's on the inside. It only registers the outside buttons.
Gotcha.
So it'd be difficult to play Soul Calibur with the Maracas. But I'm sure somebody's tried. All good memories, man. I love talking video games. Something I have a bit of an expertise in, just because I've been around, the good eras when Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1, Saturn, Dreamcast, all of that were out. So I absolutely love that stuff. Big nerd.
Right. In about close to the past halfway mark here. Do you have any questions for me, or?
I don't know, when so you what got you interested in coming here? I'm sure that you said that you played Dreamcast, you played Yeah, you played the fighting games back in the days. But what got you to come up here? And when did you start to work here?
The working thing's been like off and on for a while.
Okay.
So full disclosure, I didn't know Dallas or Cody before like my first time coming here.
Yep.
So I came here for their Halloween discount. I got off of work early that day, so it was like, I got an Instagram ad. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I kind of want to come here with my girlfriend. She had to close that night, so I was like, I already had the plans. Like, I'll pull through and see what it's about. And I saw the pictures, and I saw the initial Ds I was excited about, and then I saw the single Soul Calibur 2 cabinet, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I've never.
It's on.
Yeah, and I've never seen Soul Calibur like in a cabinet. Like I've seen Tekken cabinets before, but I never seen like any Soul Calibur game in a cabinet.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, like okay, I'll go to play this for a little bit, and then walked around, played some Initial D, and then like played on the Soul Calibur cabinet, and then Dallas came up to me, and was like, hey, like do you like play Soul Calibur? And I'm like, I played the newer ones. I haven't played 2 in a bit, you know. And so we got to play. I used to play Young Sung a lot, so I played Young Sung against Astaroth. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of mopped the floor with Dallas. And I was like, wow, this felt good to play this game again after so long.
He's got a Voldo though. If he was playing Astaroth, that might not have been his best pick.
Yeah. And then my second visit from that's pretty much all we did that day was sit down and play Soul Calibur 2. That was back when the arcade was way slower, and then we'd probably get like 10 people a day, and it'd be like, oh, okay, like we made bank today, like we get to eat.
Yeah.
And then,
that's the always questionable thing is, do they have the right location? Do they have the right returning customers and stuff like that? But yeah, I'm glad that everything has just worked out so good for this arcade, man.
And it started out as me working here was Dallas would be like, hey, like you're a friend, I trust you enough here, like, do you mind watching it for like 20 minutes or something while I step out and go take care of a chore? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, didn't expect to get paid for it. And then our friendship went on like more and more, and I started. I had ideas for their like fighting game stream setups and stuff, and Cody taught me how to TO. I think it was for. I think one of the Street Fighter events was my first time like TOing and running the stream setup for it. That was before we had the commentary setup and everything. And I was like, oh, okay, like I can give you a hand, let you like corral people more than just trying to like orchestrate everything from the back corner. So then I started helping out with that, and then I started working on the overlays a little bit more for the stream, just because like I didn't have anything else to do, and I was sitting there, and I was like, hey, what do you guys think about like how this looks? And like, oh, like that looks good. Like, do you have experience doing this? I'm like, no, I just sat down and figured it out.
There you go.
So provide value.
That's right. That's cool because you guys, every single time you do a stream, you'll have the players up there, which is good, but you also list the commentators at the bottom. Yeah. And it's cool that you can eventually once you come in here you can put a name with a face.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks great. It's a great presentation. The audio always comes through right, unless I'm on trying to unmute stuff.
That's my fault for not running it down. That's my fault.
I'm too old to learn that stuff. But yeah, it started to make a little bit more sense once you explain.
Everything except like muting and unmuting is all done from like the mixer itself.
Okay. So. All right. But then you just from doing that's how you got the job here? Okay.
Yeah, and it was like, all right, well, if you want to come in and work part-time during tournaments or anything, like you're more than welcome.
That's dope, man.
And then it turned into, do you like you've done a lot for us. Like, do you want to like make this your thing? Like, do you want to come on? So hopefully by June I'm going to try to be full-time here and quit my other job at Publix.
That's great.
So,
great.
I said it in Dallas's, but coming here, I was a recovering alcoholic when I started coming here. So it was either, do I pay $15 for a case of beer, or do I come here and spend $15 and be around like people and not feel like socially pressured to drink or anything? So
that is a good story to hear because, I kind of have the same at least background with family alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
But that that little, if you can find something to divert your energy towards, that's why I usually get into a lot of my hobbies. If I'm feeling depressed or something, I try to pick up something new just to keep my mind occupied.
Yeah.
And I think that's part, this is a good outlet to have. It can be a little expensive, just like paying for booze would be, but
just
way more productive.
Yep, I know how that feels. I dropped the money on the PVM and then got a PlayStation working, and so the bug has bit me for the retro tech.
I got to take a look at your that PVM.
Yeah, I got to bring it in next time.
No, it's funny. We you're talking about that. I don't know if anybody knows on the stream what those are. They're the Sony professional monitors, but PVM is any professional monitor,
Yeah.
so stuff that would be used for TV studios, hospitals, home security. They're very squared off looking TVs, but they are usually the most sought after because they have higher lines of resolution. They can take in RGB inputs, so all the arcade games, older arcade games can plug into them without any inverters or anything.
Yep.
And then they just look good. They look great. They're built with higher end parts, so they last a lot longer. But unfortunately, like anything, stuff fails on them.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about 20, 30-year-old electronics, capacitors can go bad. So I do want to take a look at yours eventually.
I know it definitely needs some work. It's got a 3x3 grid burned onto it. It was definitely used as CCTV at some point. There's some color bleed, and the reds are a little wonky in some spots of it. So
unfortunately, the burn-in is like the one thing that you really can't fix.
So it's not super noticeable. Like during play, unless you're really looking at it, it's not noticeable. Like
Actually,
I'll play.
You see it a lot when the screen's turned off. Usually, is when it's turned off and you shine a light to it, you can see where the phosphors have burnt in.
It's just like solid white lines running down it.
It's funny, like I've had experience with some where you can just see like the press start button and stuff like that. But there are pictures online where somebody will have a TV out there that was set up in like where you can see the door that it was pointed at because there was security.
Yeah,
so you can see like
burned in.
You can see a door. You can kind of see a lobby of somewhere, and it's all.
I'm starting to piece together like what my the camera spots and what mine was looking at, because I see like the corner of a room, like I see where the floor meets the corner, and
that's great.
So my bottom right is a no input, so it's like a bright square where it's no input. Like I can see the no input when it's turned off.
Yeah, but when it's on, you won't really notice that stuff. It's fine. I'll have to take a look at it. So I did win. Did finally get past that, thanks to this thing, although I do need practice on it. Clearly, I should have done a little bit.
It's so cool of a concept.
But yeah, it's great. It's one of the coolest controllers out there, and I really wish that they make a modern version of it. Yeah, but we'll get yours sorted out. Oh, there's somebody playing some X-Men over there.
Yeah.
I believe that's one of the Zero games, or X games. I forget which one. Yeah, man. Good stuff.
All right. I think that's going to wrap us up here for today's episode. Do you have anything you want to plug here at the end? Any closing comments?
No, man. Just come to the arcade, man. Come out here for a tournament. Everybody here is great. Everybody plays nice. Everybody's willing to help you learn if you're new at a game. And it's just fun. It's just a fun atmosphere. Like we've continually said, it's a great little venue, and convenient to a couple places to eat. But I don't have anything to plug personally. I'm just happy to be a part of this, and congrats on running a great podcast, man.
If you won't say it, I will. Show up to the Soul Calibur 2 monthlies every month. If you check the Arcade's Instagram page or the Discord, the calendar is posted there. I think it's 25th this month.
Yeah.
So it's 25th. It's Street Fighter 6 and Soul Calibur taking place before it. Soul Calibur is free entry with the arcade. Street Fighter, you got to pay a pot fee, but even if you don't play, come out, have a good time. You might learn something. I'm sure most of the people here would be willing to teach you before you start playing. So,
and if it's Street Fighter, you might be able to see Knuckle-Doo out here. Get to see a world.
He doesn't announce when he's coming, so you gotta be here to know.
Good stuff. Right. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
It was good having you on. And we'll see everybody in the next episode of No Signal.